My father tried to legally abduct me to his home country.
My father tried to legally abduct me to his home country. First of all, I'm 25 years old and I'm a woman. This story is so crazy and it's the reason why I cut off all contact with my father. It happened a few years ago, but it took me about that long to get fully over it. I'm 25 now, but at the time of the story I was 16 and in my final exams. I'm writing these lines in the year of 2024 in the month of March. I live in Europe and grew up there with parents of two different nationalities. My mom was Italian and my dad was Moroccan. Ironically, I grew up neither in Italy nor in Morocco, but in another European country. In this country, it was the case that if you were born before 2000, you don't automatically get citizenship of that country if you had a migrant background, and I was born there before 2000. Before our first holiday trip to Morocco, when I was still very young, my father had to go to the Moroccan consulate to get a travel passport for me, and when he was there, he immediately applied for Moroccan citizenship for me. Apart from that, I only had a residence permit that lasted 10 years. It was issued when I was 6 and expired when I was 16. My father knew that. He had planned it. A few weeks later, when my residence permit expired, we found a letter from the immigration office that my father had kept for himself. The letter said that my father's permit had expired and needed to be extended. When we found this letter, we went there immediately. The woman there explained to us that without a valid residence permit, I would be an illegal immigrant, because otherwise, I only had a Moroccan identity card. I still remember the extremely terrifying feeling I had at that moment, but it got even worse. She said I would have to return to Morocco and I would also be marked in the criminal register, as illegal immigration is a criminal offense. This would also ensure that I would never be able to return to the country. When my mother started to cry about this, the woman explained that there was a way to help me, as Italians don't need a residence permit. In other words, if I applied an Italian citizenship over my mom, I could stay in my country. But as my father had kept the letter under lock and key for so long, we didn't have the time for that. Our visit took place on a Friday, and the deadline would have expired the following Monday. So we only had the weekend to get me an Italian identity card somehow. When we got home, my mom was exhausted. We confronted my father, who insisted that it was just an accident and that he never wanted it to happen. My mom then started informing all my family members about my impending deportation. And my aunt, on my mom's side, had an idea. She had contacts at the Italian consulate and knew someone who worked there. She contacted this person, and on Sunday evening, an ominous-looking man came by. He said he needed various documents from me. These included a birth certificate, passport photos, and a lot more. We hoped that this guy could do something for us, and indeed, he called us on Monday evening. First of all, he calmed my mom down a bit, and then told us that he had a new ID card for me. At first, we had our doubts as to whether it was a real ID card, but it was a real ID card. He even brought it to us. I didn't even have to pick it up. When my mom wanted to give him some money for his efforts, he refused. He said that he was happy to do it and that he didn't want anything in return. My mom gave him a bottle of wine as a thank you anyway. For some reason, my father wasn't at all happy about it. He was rather angry, and 2 days later, we received a message from my uncle on my father's side. It said that he wanted to confess something as it was weighing heavily on him mentally, and then he sent us screenshots of chats between him and my father. In these chats, they talk about him separating from my mother and taking me to Morocco legally by letting my residence permit expire without my mother being able to do anything about it legally. My little sister, on the other hand, was to stay with my mom because my father only wanted one daughter and not two, and also wanted to live with me with his family in Morocco. When we confronted him, he begged only me for forgiveness and begged me to come to Morocco with him because, according to him, he loved me more than anything and I was all he needed. I was disgusted and we kicked him out of the house. I immediately cut off all contact with him. He tried to contact me through various channels to apologize, but I blocked all attempts and eventually he gave up. I've never seen my father since, and I could never forgive him for it. Because even if there was no malicious intent behind it, he would still have tried to ruin my life for selfish reasons. Because I would never have found out my way in Morocco. I don't speak Arabic, and would have had no idea what life is like there.
Wow. If you ever remember the name of that guy, you need to write him a heartfelt thank you. He was a guardian angel to you. The things that could have happened to you are really scary. I'm so sorry, Opie. And yes, NC with your bio. That is the best thing for your mental health. He is an evil man.
Mm, uh, un- Unfortunately, I don't know his name. He introduced himself only once to my mom, which I did not hear, but I wish I could say thank you.
I seriously think his plan was to marry you off. I had friends to go to the Middle East for vacation with their families and end up having to stay there cause their families marry them off, or they come home pregnant and marry to their cousin to get them over to our country. It's so common that Muslim girls talk about it a lot like it's a way of life. One of my classmates was 17 and pregnant with her second by her cousin. I'm so glad your dad's plan didn't work. If I was you, I would never visit Morocco just in case. They speak French in Morocco, right?
Frankly, I don't know if this was his plan, and I don't want to know, to be honest. As far as my father went, I still know his personality, and from experience, I wouldn't think he's the type of guy to do this. But to be fair, I also didn't expect him to try to take me away from my mom. So I guess I could be wrong. My dad insisted I had to learn Arabic, even though I never did, because he said it was the only language to speak in Morocco.
My friend is half Moroccan, and while of course it's still an Arab-speaking country, it's like Canada, where almost everyone speaks French. If I remember right, almost every single restaurant only has menus in French. So him insisting on you learning Arabic and nothing else only makes me more certain that he was planning on marrying you off to someone there.